I don't know whether it's a skill, but I think curiosity plays a big part of my practice. I'm curious about how things work. I think that sort of ties in a lot with my attitude to making and materials as well. So I tend to sort of learn a skill. Like for instance, I've been doing work at Steam House and I've been improving my welding skills. So once I've got those, the basics down, the next sort of question I've got is what else can I do with it? How can I extend that? So for instance with that, I've sort of started using welding as sort of a tool to create effects rather than actually sort of join things, which, I'm always sort of curious about how I can push things a little bit further. And it's become kind of a running joke with the students I work with, this idea of, almost pushing things to destruction just because I'm curious to see where it's going to go and what could result. So I think that's curiosity is kind of integral to what I do, really, as an artist. Okay. It's weird. I was thinking about this the other day, and it's a project that I've kind of realised I've been working on for quite a while, but it's taken me a while to sort of, I guess, make sense of it since I finished the MA. Kind of the last year, really, sort of trying to work through it. And I've realised that some of the work that I've exhibiting so far are kind of like the initial stages of that. But I think at a basic level what I'm interested in is the idea of, as our cultures change, as we move through this incredible level of progress, I'm interested in the relationship we have with our own bodies, the relationship we have with other organisms, and also with the environment. And that's kind of the basic sort of tenet of what I'm looking at. And in terms of what I'm interested in doing in this residency, it's certainly, at least my starting point, I think, is this idea of the body as an ecosystem. I think quite a lot of the work that I've been doing lately is kind of looking at this idea of almost sort of bewildering complexity. And I think about what I sort of learned at university about ecosystems and how simplified that is, and it's just not true. And that's kind of led me to sort of draw sort of comparison between what we think of as the environment or an environment, and how similar that is actually to our own bodies, and how you can sort of relate those two things. So that's kind of where I'm starting from anyway. Research is really varied for me. I think it can, the starting point can be sometimes sort of primary scientific research, and I'm quite interested in how that's translated to, through the media to sort of like pop science, and how people perceive that. So there can be that kind of quite sort of formal way of looking at research. But then quite a lot of the other work that has resulted more from sort of conversations with people, or just, like the works I did about like fat ball and baby fat, that kind of started from having lost weight myself, and also being interested in other people's perceptions of fat and weight loss and things like that. So, it can be quite, just almost a chance thing that you see on TV or through a conversation with people. I think I spent a lot of time recently sort of revisiting some philosophy, so people like Isabel Strenger's, Donna Haraway, that really help to sort of add context to what I'm doing. But then also there's a lot of very practical research that I do in terms of sort of material practice. I've been experimenting with creating materials, so working with bioplastics, just sort of like biodegradable resins basically, and things like that. And you can make things like that in the kitchen. It's remarkable, really. So research for me can be a whole range of different things, from the quite formal to quite informal. Really simple, actually. Keep going, keep making, and don't worry about it, and don't worry about what other people think of what you're doing. Just keep going, which is, it's sound advice, and it does also kind of fit what I do. I I'm quite prolific. I make quite a lot of stuff, and so I think certainly good contemporary art is really good at reflecting what's going on in society, but maybe in not quite a sort of didactic sort of way. It doesn't sort of necessarily preach anything per se, or isn't. It encourages people to sort of engage with or critically engage with ideas without necessarily telling them what they should think. At least the art that I'm interested in is art that is more sort of ambiguous than that. I don't like being told what to think when I look at art. I'd rather sort of have some grey areas and have some uncertainty. And I think a lot of art that works, a lot of contemporary art that works, sort of unsettles and makes you think rather than actually sort of telling you what to think. So for me, that's what's effective about contemporary art anyway. What can be effective about it.